Hi, my name is Dixon Crews, and I'm a senior at Greensboro Day School. Most of you are probably thinking that I'm up here just to play the piano as usual, but this being April Fool's Day, Steve insisted that I write a sermon and speak instead, so things will be a little different this morning. I first began thinking about the speaking opportunity in the fall of last year. Of course, thinking would be the operative word in that sentence. Anyway, one of my mother's colleagues approached her asking what seemed like a very simple question on the face of it. She asked, "How can I make my kids be good people?" My first thought upon hearing this question for myself was of all of my experiences at this church. Of course, going to school and growing up in a caring home have helped shape me into who I am today. But the experiences and relationships I've been lucky enough to encounter at this church throughout my whole life have helped to develop an entirely different side of myself. The environment here is one of mutual trust and respect, as well as strong support and understanding. I would like to highlight just a few of the examples where I feel as though the church has played an important role in my development as a person. Most people would agree that going through high school and middle school is one of the hardest times of a young person's life. In elementary school, everyone is pretty much friends with everyone else. Let a few years go by and everything starts to change. Strictly defined friend groups begin to form and you're either in or you're out. I am thankful that these kinds of divides do not exist within the church and the youth group. I feel as though every one of my peers here is supportive, understanding, and helpful, especially when help is needed. It has been comforting to have an entirely different group of people that I can confide in outside of a routinely difficult school environment. Coming to church every weekend has acted as sort of a refresher for me. No matter how difficult my week may have been, I am always able to count on seeing everyone's smiling faces each Sunday. One of the most important occasions during which the church truly affected my life was before, during, and after the youth choir's trip to Hungary in 2010. There is a reason why everyone who went on this trip constantly talks about it, and that is because it was truly life-changing. I believe that we all came home more humble and aware people than when we left. When I first heard about this trip in the fall of 2009, I was initially very worried and felt as though such a trip would be too big of an undertaking and that it just wouldn't work out well. I wondered how successful we would be in our efforts to spread the gospel with such a large language barrier in our way. As time passed and with the support of the church, I got over my apprehensions and felt prepared to do something great. I realized that there was no reason to be afraid of such an endeavor, as everything would be figured out for us. I am sure that Philippians 4:13, which reads, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me," was on each of our minds as we left familiar territory and entered into the unknown. I don't think there is sufficient time this morning for me to share every one of my experiences from this trip, so I will just share one that stands out among the rest. This experience took place at the Gandhi school that we visited early on in the trip. We were giving a concert in the school's library, and we began the program by singing several songs in English. The time came when we were able to show off our newfound skills of singing in Hungarian by singing a gypsy folk song called Yarba Mara Yarba. As usual, I was sitting at the piano facing an eager audience, and as I began to play the first line of the song, I saw expressions of surprise, confusion, then delight come over each member of the audience as we tried our best to replicate a well-known song. At first, we were a little shaky on the words, but the students were so impressed that we even tried to sing in their language that they began to clap along with us in support. Following our concert, we spent time together with the students of the Gandhi School, getting to know them and telling a little about ourselves. I found that we were able to connect with the students through our music and our beliefs. There were times that I felt as though the language barrier had simply fallen away and we were able to communicate easily. As it turned out, we were all able to accomplish what we set out to do from the start. I learned from this occasion that God always has a plan for our lives, and that we shouldn't be afraid when something as daunting as this trip comes along. Each of the examples that I have mentioned has to do with the sense of community that I feel encompasses this church. Unfortunately, there are not enough places in life where everyone is fully supportive of one another, and that is what makes my experiences within this church so valuable to me as I move beyond high school and begin the rest of my life's journey.